I don't know how this is going to work, so we're experimenting. Hi, Emily.
Hey,
We're live now. At least that's what it says.
cool.
So we're trying this through YouTube. Yeah, you can move it. It's completely movable. So, the main reason that I wanted you to come on this podcast, I don't know, have you been listening to any of the episodes that I've done? So you have an idea of what I'm thinking. I think it just went live. Everybody, hello. This is Emily Roach, mother, jujitsu enthusiast, all around good person. Try to be. That's good. Um, the main reason I wanted you to come onto this is because I wanted to thank you. I didn't text you about any of this because I didn't want to scare you. A long time ago, mid-20s, I don't know. I was in a dark place and I was really, really drunk one night and I was talking nonsense and you called and talked to me. Like, I don't remember what happened that night, like where it all went, but I remember you calling and talking to me, taking time out of it was late at night. I know that. Taking time and calling and talking to me. And I just wanted to say thank you. Like, you're a good person, Emily. That's why I wanted to talk to you today. So, my wife said people are going to start a drinking game whenever this podcast becomes popular. Every time I take a drink of my coffee, they drink. I think she was talking about booze, but
Yeah.
I don't drink booze anymore. So, yeah. So, what's going on, Emily? How's life?
Good. It's busy. Got 3 kids that are 10, 7, and 4.
10, 7, and 4. Boys and girls, right?
Yes, girl. Yeah, I've got 2 boys and then a crazy little girl.
Yeah.
Her name's Ember. Means spark and revival started.
I like how it starts out with an E like yours.
And
Yeah.
I work part-time as a cardiac rehab nurse. Been a nurse for 15 years now. And I teach stress management classes.
What do you mean by stress management?
Yeah, so cardiac rehab is a program that was
Here, pull this a little closer, just a little closer to you. I think so, yeah.
Okay. Cardiac rehab is a program that was created to help prevent any further cardiac events in patients who have had specific cardiac events like a heart attack, heart failure, stent placement, open heart surgery, and stuff like that. And hey, Sam. And
Don't mind him. He's just a grumpy boy.
talking to me.
Sam, come here.
But the pillars of our program are exercise, nutrition, and stress management. Because stress is a major risk factor for heart disease.
That should be the pillars of anybody's health regimen for the most part.
For sure. Like, it is definitely not just for cardiac. Everything is affected by everything.
Yeah. That's what I tell people when they talk about their doctors. I was like, if your doctor doesn't ask about your diet, your exercise, and like your stress, you need to find a new doctor.
I totally agree with that. And so the staff is half registered nurses, half exercise physiologists, and then we have a registered dietitian and a yoga therapist staff as well.
Yeah.
And God doesn't waste anything. My husband went through a really intense stress journey the first 10 years of our marriage. And he saw lots of different counselors, read so many different books, and my husband is a certified genius, National Merit Scholar. And he started these layman's books and self-help books just weren't clicking. And so he started reading books written for psychiatrists. And he's an external processor. So everything he was learning and thinking about, we were talking through. And so walking with him through that storm, watching him get on the other side of it, then my manager, who was teaching me stress management classes, was like, hey, I need someone to take over this for me because I'm getting too busy with management responsibilities. And he was like, do you think you could do it? Because we've had a lot of good conversations about mental health. And I looked through the curriculum that's provided to us by Pritikin, and I was like, yeah, I know. I already know all of that. And so through walking through that storm with my husband,
you learned
fully equipped to walk with people in these baby boomer years.
Yeah. Is that who you deal mostly with, is boomers for the most part?
Well, honestly, since COVID and really any virus can attack someone's heart sometimes.
Yeah.
We've been getting people as early as their 40s, sometimes 30s. We usually, if we have a 20-something-year-old, it's a congenital problem or drugs. But the youngest patient we've ever had was 21.
Yeah.
The oldest is 98. But I would say primarily our age group is 60s to 80s.
Yeah. That makes sense. Makes sense. May I ask what your husband's stress was? Was it work? Was it personal? Was it past trauma?
It was kind of a combination of a lot of stuff. So he has had quite a past. His little brother passed away when he was 7,
Okay.
and his little brother was almost 5 when he passed away from
Did
very
this
rare cancer that was engulfed his lung.
Oh, so it was a slow process and he watched it.
His little brother was diagnosed when he was 2 and passed away when he was 4.
So he saw it. He saw it unfold. Unfortunately, that sucks.
So he was 7 when his brother passed away, and 8 months later, he found his mom seizing on the bathroom floor, and she ended up having a brain tumor. And she eventually passed when he was 13.
Oh, Jesus.
And so 6 months after we got married, my husband got a psoas muscle injury, which are very painful, very slow to recover from. Because I mean, everything's connected to.
That's your side ab muscles, right?
Next from your hip up to your spine.
Okay.
So literally almost every movement is affected by the psoas muscle. And in his past, anytime someone had chronic pain or like a problem like this, his mind automatically went to like something that's really, really wrong. And it kind of started this process of being stressed. And then he had a very stressful job.
Yeah.
Being a land developer. So.
Oh goodness, land developing. Yeah, I'm sure.
27 associations and go to city council meetings with hundreds of protesters who would follow him out to his car. I mean,
yeah.
He had a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's glad that you're so supportive. Like, I mean, that's, one of the things I talked to one of my previous guests about was the fact that a woman can build you up. A man specifically, a woman can build you up, but at the same time, she can also tear you down. And it takes a lot more work to build somebody than it does to tear them down. It's easy to tear somebody down. I mean, you can do people do it every day to people, and it's really great. I like that.
My faith had a big part and role in that. When I was engaged to my husband, my mother-in-law gave me a really good piece of advice. She said, one of the best ways you can worship God is how well you love your husband. And so on days when I would come home and he was emotionally checked out or exhausted or surviving, just doing the best he could.
Yeah.
I was able to lean in instead of pull away because whenever it wasn't the relationship I had with him driving my behavior, it was my love for God.
Yeah. Hang on, hold your thought. I forgot to close this door, which has my dryer going.
Oh, you're good.
That camera angle is good, much better. So on the previous podcasts, I don't know if you saw them, but I turned this table. It's at an angle instead of with the horizontal. That window was drowning out the light from it was drowning out the person in your seat. So I turned it, and it's a good view now. Great. You look very pretty. How are your sisters? You're a triplet. Can we talk about that for a second? One specific question I have is, do you and your sisters feel each other's pain? I'm sure you get that question a lot from people, but I recently had a conversation with somebody about twins, and so it's fresh on my mind.
Yeah. We do not feel each other's physical pain, but we do know each other so deeply, and we are very similar in our personalities in a lot of ways. Um, I would say we really empathize with each other.
Hmm.
I would say that the whole like telepathic
Psychic connection.
stuff is usually more with identical twins because they're literally the same person in 2 bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And my sisters share the same placenta, And they have the same blood type. They
That's right. Because
and I'm O positive. They have
okay,
a placenta.
so they're identical?
They're not identical. We were all three separate eggs, but for whatever reason, they shared the same placenta.
Oh, okay. Do they seem to have a little bit more of a connection from that? Maybe, possibly.
They are a lot more similar. They're both, especially when we were younger, were way more reserved and quiet. Never really played sports or were in clubs, and I played every sport and can talk to a wall. And I'm short.
I remember that about you.
Brown-headed, they're blonde.
Yeah, because I know Laura, and your other sister's name is Julie.
Both my sisters are occupational therapists.
That's weird.
160-ish.
That's Laura.
She's 5'11" and 3/4.
Whatever. It's 6 rounded up, Laura.
And
You have a kangaroo.
Julie's 5'9".
I think Julie I've only met a couple times, but I worked with both you and your sister at Sonic for all those years.
Yeah.
So I don't remember.
6 years.
I don't remember how I was there off and on, I think,
Yeah.
while you worked there. So,
Opening shifts.
oh yeah, you sleeping under the heat lamps because it's cold. It's cold. I'm gonna crawl under. Literally, people, the heat lamps that they keep food warm with. Emily would sleep under them. It was a big counter. That's true. Her feet did dangle off. They would be in the way when I was doing stuff. Those are good old days. That was a long time ago. Lots changed.
Spoon and everyone would like be singing, and then we'd all sing and work. It's kind of like
Yeah. I think Spood didn't he end up taking over that Sonic? I want to say I heard some from his sister or something a long time ago that he ended up taking over that Sonic that we worked at.
Ooh,
Like he ended up taking Greg's position, I believe. I don't know. I haven't seen him in a long time.
and then to another Sonic, and then he became a CPA. Now I want to say he looks at corporate.
That doesn't surprise me at all. Corporate job would totally fit that man.
Because I still hang out with Holly all the time. Holly lives in Norman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and she stays connected to her.
Yeah. That's another person I should talk to. I haven't talked to Holly in a long time. Holly, you want to come on? Yeah. What got you into jujitsu?
I having two big brothers, one of them being a 6A heavyweight wrestling champion.
Okay.
He always roughhoused with me, and I was always tomboy, loved the like physical play. And as adults, we don't really get to do that.
No.
And I initially got introduced to martial arts because one of the exercise physiologists I worked with at the hospital, he owns a karate studio in Edmond, and he's like legit. He's not like the guy off of Napoleon Dynamite, you know?
Yeah.
He's not like that. He's legit. He was trained in Japan. Shout out to Dong. And he would train me, and one of the other nurses would come up before work. And like, there's few things less empowering than having a man put on a full padded bodysuit, and you would do like this punch combination, and then you front kick him as hard as you can and watch his body go back. And you're like, and we'd have to walk out to the employee parking lot late at night sometimes. Not late, it was dark because it was winter. We'd have to walk a quarter of a mile to the employee parking. Me and this nurse would go so much.
I double dog dare you to try.
And then he ended up moving on to different things. Fast forward, my kids started jujitsu when they were 5, and they had an adult Krav Maga class, which is really martial arts.
I know Krav Maga.
This is kind of like karate, I guess. I'll try it. And it was in the evenings after the kids went to bed, so I was like, this works. And then they replaced that with a women's only jujitsu class. And I was like, I've never thought about doing jujitsu, but it's this convenient. I'm already here. I'll give it a try. And so one of the students, who was a blue belt at the time, she was teaching it. And wonderful woman, Danielle Dunroad. And she was like so welcoming and teaches in a way that my brain likes to
Mhm.
absorb and like pictures and uh, I fell in love with it, and then that gym closed down, and she and her husband, who are both one kid, her husband's currently in the Air Force, she's an Air Force vet. They opened up a new place almost 2 years ago now.
Mhm.
It's called Rally Point, which is a military term that means come together.
Mhm.
And almost everybody from the whole gym is at this place.
That's good.
And I feel like jujitsu is a good skill for especially any woman to have because
I
it
think it's a good
teaches
skill
you
for anybody.
yeah,
Yeah.
anyone, but I feel like especially women because it teaches you how to defend yourself when someone's on top of you. And jujitsu is very much a skill and technique oriented sport. It helps if you're strong, of course, but
You don't
even with
have to
the
be.
techniques, you do not need to be strong to be successful. And because I roll with big guys all the time.
Mhm. Yeah, I think you posted something on Instagram. I don't remember what the picture was, but I remember the title, like about to go to jujitsu class and throw around some dude that's 100 pounds heavier than me,
Facts.
which is absolutely something that you can do too. That's what I like about jujitsu, is because I'm a smaller, like I'm not a small guy, but I'm smaller compared to most men, you know? And if I want to defend my wife or myself against somebody who's 6'2" and 250 pounds and stocky, I need to know how to do that,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
most fights end up on the ground.
And most fights
Or
end
you
up,
can
yeah,
big part of jujitsu is like judo stuff where you take them down.
that's what a lot of people think a street fight is, standing up, and it's not like that anymore. No. Somebody's going to run into you and knock you on the ground, and then you're going to have to defend yourself, like you said.
And there's combat jujitsu.
Breathe, princess. See, she has heart issues. She has an enlarged heart. She has Cushing's disease. She's old. She's overweight. Like, princess, breathe.
Yeah, she was struggling there for a minute.
She does it throughout the day. Like that's the it started happening, and then we bought these pills that she takes every day. Um, and it got way better for a long time, and it's slowly coming back even with the pills. So that's kind of like why we were thinking getting kind of close to the end, you know.
You know how much sodium is in her dog food?
No, but we can look at it after this.
Yeah, because
The bag's right in there.
when any animal species heart is swollen,
Hmm.
it's weaker,
Uh-huh.
and water follows salt, and so you're if the more sodium you take in, the more blood volume and fluid you have, which puts more pressure on the heart, which can make it overflow into your lungs and cause sounds like that. It's
Really?
a big part of managing a weakened heart.
Yeah. So
Watching your sodium.
what their explanation for her was is that her heart is what it is inflamed, and that's pushing against her airways, which causes her to gag like that to try and clear the airway.
Hmm.
That's the Cushing's disease. Or I'm not I'm not a vet, so uh but you can tell it's wearing on her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's never easy to let a dog go.
Mm.
Like that's one of the hardest things I've ever done. You know, they're such good animals. See, he's so curious.
I got a right after I got married because I went from a house of my two sisters and one brother and four dogs to literally the very next day I moved into my husband's house
Yeah.
the day before our wedding and no dogs. And then working in the hospital, working 312s, I was home a lot of the days where he was at work all day. I was like, this house is too quiet.
I need
So
something.
I think by the second week of our marriage, we got a dog and we had no money. And it was literally like, we have $50 left in our bank account. If you can find a dog for $50, you can have it. And I do it.
And I did. What was it?
She's a Shih Tzu weenie dog, you know.
Oh my goodness.
And she looks just like a Westie. People argue with me everywhere.
Is this the one you were telling me about before that's 15?
She'll be 14.
14.
Yeah.
Ugh, dogs. Yeah.
Baby.
Mm-hmm. I think dogs have a special connection to us humans. Like it's ridiculous. Like it's not. I'm not saying they're like kids, but they're very much like family.
Oh yeah. I mean,
They're pack animals. Like, that's what pisses me off about my neighbor 2 doors down. He's a total piece of crap. Uh, Ties his dog up to the tree in his backyard, and that's it. That's how the dog lives his life,
oh,
unfortunately. I know it's absolutely crappy, and, I got fed up with him the other day. It was actually last week, I think. And I called animal control on him. Had animal control come out and was like, I made the mistake of telling him that I was going to do it. So he went and put water and food back there and blah, blah, blah. But that's just me like, hey, you're a piece of crap and I'm going to do this. I'm letting you know now. And they came over and looked at the well being of the dog. And I mean, technically, he has food and water. Unfortunately,
day.
yeah, exactly. But I saw him lock one day. I was out there and I heard him barking out front when I was letting my dogs out front. And I looked over and he's in their SUV. It's actually a Nissan, kind of like yours. Um, Windows are cracked and he's in there barking at my dogs out front. I was like, what? Why is he keeping them in the car? Like, you can't leave your dog in the car. Like, one, if you do that to a baby, that's inhumane, blah, blah, blah. And the other morning when I saw him, his dog had gotten loose and was out running around. And he trapped him back in that car. And I didn't know if he was going to leave him there or not. He ended up not. He ended up just going and getting a leash and then taking him back to the backyard. But that's when I called animal control on him. And they came out and they inspected and they said, unfortunately, there's nothing we can really do. If you want to file a citizen's complaint on him, you can. You can take him to court and everything. But she was like, you need enough. That's enough. She said, you need some sort of evidence, though, because otherwise it's just going to be your word against his. And unfortunately, that doesn't go very far in court. So when they were talking to him, he ended up calling the police because they said that I was mean. I don't really care. One,
You can't get arrested.
one freedom of speech. I can tell you that you're a piece of crap human being. I'm allowed to do that. Like, that's not being mean. That's just my opinion about you. You don't have to like it. But the cops didn't even come over and talk to me. They didn't even waste their time with me. They just left after talking to him. But I have a thing. I can take him to court. So, but just people like that always show their true colors. I've found, you know, um,
Especially when people aren't watching.
especially when people aren't watching. So he's gonna slip up. He's gonna do something stupid. I'm gonna take some photos of it, and then I'll take him to court. And hopefully, like, this is the second dog that he's gotten that he treats like crap. Like, I don't understand why he needs to have an animal. Like, they have a cat. Great. Cats are self-sufficient, dude. It's the sweetest little cat. It comes over and says hi. We call it Ginger Kitty. Uh, but just if you're gonna treat animals like crap, don't get a dog, man.
Well, I'm happy for standing up for that dog because I know
Yeah.
you're a busy guy.
Well, it's not that I'm busy. It's just like when you see something like that, you need to say something. Like, I think that's one of the things we've gotten away from as a country is everybody is so stuck in their mind their own business mentality. But you know what? If you see something wrong, say something.
Keep your eyes open for when
Yeah. Just like if you see something bad, like you're not going to walk by some dude beating on a woman and just be like, oh, that's not my business. No, you're going to be like, hey, bro, get off of her. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just one of those things. He'll show his true colors. He'll mess up. I'll get him. He's a dick. All you can do.
What kind of dog is it?
I couldn't tell you that.
Oh,
It's relatively large. If I had to guess, I'd say 85 to 100 pounds. It's big. It's white. It's got a thick coat, which sucks because you know how our summers are here, and he doesn't take care of animals. Like they didn't. The dogs, you can tell it hasn't had a bath in a while. You know, uh,
great for your niece next week.
it's possible. It kind of had a slender face, but that could also be from malnutrition as well, too. So, uh, but He's a dick. I'll get him, asshole. I just I can't. I hate bullies, and that's kind of what it is. It's not. Maybe it's not what it is, but the way I see it is he has the dog, so he's in control. Like if he treats his dog that way, how do you think he treats his wife and his daughters? You know?
Yeah, if you can't be a good steward of an animal,
Yeah,
how are you stewarding the rest of them?
absolutely. Absolutely. Like I'm sure he treats his wife and his daughters like crap. Uh, which she kind of tried to yell at me in Spanish one day when that day I was telling him because I had spelled it out on my he doesn't speak English. And I just found out the other day that he also doesn't read because I had typed out on my phone on the translate, "Hey, you're a piece of crap human being. I'm calling the animal control on you. And I just wanted you to know." And I held it up to him. I was like, "Hey, man, I just want you to read this." Uh, and she popped out with her phone, like filming me, like something problema. I understand problema, you know. And I was like, "Man, I'm standing on the public street. Like I'm not even on your yard. I just want him to read this." And but people who are shitty, when you point them out, they deflect to you, act like you're the problem for
Definitely.
saying something. So, and I think that's what people are afraid of. Like I was saying, people have gotten away from the saying something when it's needed, and people are so afraid of being filmed doing something and it being construed the wrong way.
Mhm.
Who cares?
Mhm.
I don't,
Yeah, you gotta stand up for what's right.
because at the end of the day, I go to bed by myself. I fall asleep in my own mind, like, and at the end of the day, I sleep good because I know I stood up for the right thing. I don't care if you don't like me. Sorry, I went on a tangent. I love dogs. I was how many years into your marriage did you wait before y'all had children?
3.
Three. So you're 3 years in.
No, we've been married 13 years this year.
Yeah, but you were 3 years in
But
before you had children. That's a good time frame.
yeah, we went
Did did y'all plan, or did you or like say, hey,
it was very
let's have a kid, and it happened whenever it happened, or like you were like, I'm ovulating today and tomorrow, be home.
so, I don't know how many details you want.
Oh, you don't have to go into
Yeah.
extreme detail.
No.
This is made for children too.
So, I did have a hard time getting pregnant with the first one because of being on birth control for so many years. It's super screwed up.
How do Before we go on, how did that mess you up? Is it like your body specifically, or is that a common occurrence?
If I skipped the placebos, I had no period.
You skip the placebos.
Yes, because
Can you go into more detail on what you're talking about?
so my cycles whenever I was um, 15, 16 were so bad I would vomit, have excruciating cramps, like it was real, real bad.
Mhm.
And so my doctor tried all these different
I
things.
think I actually remember that when you were a teenager.
Yeah, it was
I remember
really
you
bad.
talking about, yeah.
Go to school or go to work. And so my OB was finally like, well, unless you're trying to have kids, you technically don't need a period. So she was like, skip the placebos on your birth control, just take it every day, all day, and you won't have a period. And so I
Oh,
was great.
the placebos
Yeah,
are for the week
yeah.
that you're. Oh, okay. Makes more sense now.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
uh, you don't know what they do about birth
I'm a
control.
boy. I don't.
Yeah. So normal birth control, there's always a week of just sugar pills,
Mhm.
but there's 7 days of it to keep you on a cycle. So it makes you have a period, but then you never ovulate.
Yeah. Rachel doesn't do birth control. It really messes her up.
And it messes up a lot of people. But so I didn't have a period for 13 years. So then whenever I was like, all right, let's start a family, it took me a year and a half to ovulate.
And was that your body just having to institute the ovulation period and everything?
I was getting my blood drawn every month and I was ovulating.
Wow.
OB was like, well, let's kickstart this with some Clomid. My mom took Clomid and had triplets. And I was like, oh, I want triplets. And she was like, it's a less than 1% triplet. And I was like,
I am that one.
I am a triplet. There was a set of triplets at every high school in the metro area the year I graduated because that was the fast forward, I mean, rewind 18, 17 years ago. Before that, Clomid had just come out.
And that's when all of y'all's parents were all.
It was Clomid for 1 month.
And then dropped. Whoa!
Most of the triplets I knew were all fraternal. Also, I know lots. We were in a triplet club.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, I don't want Clomid. I'm not ready. I'm not desperate enough to want triplets yet. And literally the very next month, pregnant. And then after that, I learned my lesson. And all of my kids are almost exactly 3 years apart. So they were all.
Was that planned? I was gonna say, was that planned?
Yeah, I wanted the one to be almost out of diapers by the time the next one came.
Plan.
And then by 3, you can be like, hold on, give me 5 minutes, and they won't like lose it because at 2 they have no perception of time. Well, 3 they don't have much perception of time.
Yeah.
But at least you can be like, your special job every time mom sits down with the baby is to bring me a burger.
I could do that. Were you I heard you telling my wife you had an epidural, so you had all naturally?
Yeah, I pushed them all out. My 2 sons were 9 pounds each.
How bad that hurt?
Thank you, Lord, my epidural worked amazing.
Yeah.
When you're trying to push out a baby with an epidural, it literally just feels like you're holding your breath. You can't feel anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're like push and you're like,
I'm not.
I don't know.
So it wasn't like what you see in the movies where people are screaming, "I fucking hate you."
Oh no, but like so with my daughter, she was only 7 pounds 10 ounces. Thank God. Epidural did not work one bit. I felt everything. It was like an out of body experience. It was like I was trying to escape my own body. I was in so much pain. Like I was like it was a panicky. I need out.
What do I do?
Can't do this. I was screaming. It was just like the movies. But
Wow.
quickest recovery. Granted, she was significantly smaller than the boys, but
Yeah. My dad told me whenever we were younger, he's like, whenever you get to the point where you are having children and you're in the room with your wife when she's giving birth, only give her 2 fingers.
yeah,
He said, don't give 3 because she will break your fingers. Only give her 2. And I've explained this to people and they're like, what does that mean? I'm like, give me 2 of your fingers. And I squeeze it as hard as I can. They're like, I don't feel anything. It's like, that's why you only give 2 because that woman is going to squeeze. And then I'm like, all right, now give me 3. And I barely squeeze them. Ow. You ever had anybody do that to you?
Oh yeah.
Where's did you breastfeed?
I did.
Did you ever? Yeah.
It was something I was like so proud of my body because like not everybody's body lets them do that.
No.
And breast milk is so cool. Did you know your body can sense when your baby is fighting an infection and will make antibodies?
I was just about to say that.
Yeah. And then your body will also sense your baby's temperature if they're too cold or too warm and adjust the temperature of the milk for your baby.
To warm them up or cool them down. I did not know that. But the one about the infection, I think, is amazing.
I posted a picture once. I had was literally the color of gold, like they say it's liquid gold.
Uh-huh.
The antibodies that I pumped into that milk, it was like liquid gold medicine. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's not white, it's gold yellow milk.
That's amazing.
And you can put it in their eyes to treat eye infections. You can put it in their ear to help with ear infection.
That's what like
eczema, you make them look bad.
Wow. I didn't know all that. I mean, I knew it took the infection in and then your body would cure it and then put out the antibodies, which I always thought was freaking amazing. Like boobs are awesome. Just saying. Wow.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. A woman's body is amazing.
It really is.
Like,
and like the relationship the woman has with the baby she's growing. like the stem cells from the baby as it's growing in the mom will go and heal different areas of the mom. Like if the mom has a heart attack while she's pregnant, the stem cells from the baby
We'll
will
go to the
travel to the
heart.
heart. That's why a lot of women who have autoimmune diseases, while they're pregnant, they go into remission.
Wow, because the baby is healing the mother.
And then I read a research today. They found it first on women who were pregnant male babies because it was easier to differentiate the DNA. A woman, even if she doesn't carry the baby to term, will have the baby's DNA and it'll travel and implant in her brain for the rest of her life.
What do you mean by that? Like
The mother is
the
literally cellularly connected to that baby for the
wow,
rest of her life. Every baby she ever grows in her womb. And
that's
then they
cool.
figured out it's the same with female babies. It was just harder to differentiate.
Yeah, because the
Like
chromosomes.
the love, like of course I love my husband. He's my number one when my babies are gone. I'm gonna be with him. But the love I have for my children, it's like every cell in my body would ache for them when I wasn't with them. Like it was unlike any love I'd ever experienced.
Like a piece of you was missing, kind of.
Yeah, like I would just whenever I would miss my husband, I would be sad, of course. But whenever I was away from my baby, whenever I'd have to go to work, it was like my whole body ached for them. And then like the love you have for them is overwhelming. Like I've never understood the saying, I love you so much it hurts until I had a child. Because your heart literally aches. It's like your heart is on the outside of your body.
Mm-hmm.
And like one of the best things I loved about becoming a mother is like God's word says that he loves us more than our earthly parents can ever love us. And realizing that I love this child so much, it feels overwhelming. And God loves me more than that. And like feeling the weight of that, it's like, are you sure that's even possible? Because like this feels so big. And then feeling so validated by that research today, like my children's DNA is literally forever with me.
That's really cool.
That's why mothers are so affected by their children's hurt and their health.
Makes sense of like every mother you can ever talk to when after they go on paternity leave and then leaving the child to come back to work. I think every woman has always said it's one of the hardest things they've ever done.
Oh yeah.
You know, unless they're just a shitty mother.
We can look at that. I'm on the bike and I just strap him to me. I literally had that conversation in my head.
Did you really?
It's just like
Was it an emotional crying? I'll stay home.
I mean, out of my mom has 9 grandchildren,
Uh-huh.
and my children were the only ones who had to go to daycare. The other grandchildren were very blessed to have moms or dad who stayed home with them
Mhm.
until they went to school. And it is interesting to see the contrast. Like I feel like it developed my children's social skills really well. They learned things quicker. My middle son learned how to read when he was 3. Daycare, literally read books when he was 3. And so it was great for their immune system. I mean, they got all of those viruses out of the way.
Yeah.
So when they went to school, they've been great. But oh man, you can't describe that ache you have when you're with them. And I've been blessed to only have to work 2 days a week.
Yeah.
The children.
That's good. My parents were both. I don't remember when I was young, but I mean, as a teenager, my mom was at work. My youngest brother was 6 years younger than me, and my older brother's 2 years and 3 months older than me. So me and my older brother, we were close, and then our younger brother was 6 years behind. So it was a little different.
Yeah.
They didn't have the perfect little 3 year gap that you have with your children, which is a great gap. That's great. Like they'll help grow up to each other. Like me and my older brother, we grew up raised around the world because military family, like England, Germany. Then we ended up here. And then I married an Oklahoma woman. Now I'll never leave this freaking state. Uh, but my younger brother, he was born in England. So the first few years of his life, he spent a little bit in England, then a little bit in Germany. and then moved here and pretty much went through school here. So he had that stable growing up that we didn't have. Because me and my older brother, we had to learn how to make friends every few years, which is a little different upbringing.
Especially.
Yeah. But by the time we got here, mom was working full time. So basically, me and my older brother would watch our younger brother while they were at work till they got home 5:30, whatever it was,
Mhm.
you know. So that's an interesting, well, yeah, dynamic's a good word.
I have
Uh,
two brothers,
yeah. How much older?
5 years and 8 years.
Oh, that's a big gap too. Because they kind of had a life growing up together, and then you three girls came along and threw a wrench and all that. Oh, these cute girls get everything.
Um, my brother, who's 5 years older, I have the most memories of him. He's the one who looks like a Hulk.
Is he the wrestler that you were talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah, and played football, and he benched 400 in high school.
Jesus. I don't even think I can bench 400 now.
Wrestled 275, played in 440. Massive dude. And then my oldest big brother, who's 8 years older, he's still a big guy, like very muscular, 6'2" ish, and uh, very like well spoken, and he was out of the house by the time I was 10, so I don't have a
Yeah.
lot of memories of like growing up. I have a lot of memories of him as like a married man, and we were really close with his wife, and they'd have us over,
Yeah.
spend the night and stuff. Uh, but
Almost. Um, I want to say that's almost like an aunt uncle
Yeah.
relationship. You know what I mean? For the most part, like, hey, come over and hang out with us for a while, and then go back home.
They babysat us a lot.
Yeah.
Like Greg is the one who's 5 years older. He would put me in one of his knitted laundry bags, put me in the closet, or my mom's different. Or we, yeah. But there's a lot of like fun memories too. Like
Hang on. Let's not skip past this, okay? Yeah, no, you can't just say that and then, oh, let's move on. No, he put you in a netted laundry basket, the ones that you used to like hang up in the basketball hoop in your room and throw your laundry into net.
bag, like a knitted laundry
Oh, okay.
bag, like underwear and stuff that you
Yeah.
get bought with socks.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, it was like this big.
Yeah.
Older elementary school age.
Yeah.
And,
Go,
it's
Steve.
not like
Go.
you would do it every day.
Yeah. But that's really funny.
He's like,
You're going in the bag. You want the net? That's totally a big brother thing to do.
yeah.
That's totally a big brother thing to do, though.
Would put a walkie-talkie in my closet and wait for me to go to sleep. I'm a monster.
I'm surprised you don't have more trauma.
Probably what developed my brilliant personality. Commercial.
Yeah. That's great, though. Good older brothers.
Yeah. But like whenever I do jujitsu with like big guys, there's a guy who's literally the exact same size as my big brother. Like, oh, I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to be gentle on you. I was like, no, dude, you're like home. Like, let's go.
Let's go. Can I call you Greg? You should do that next time. Like right when you're about to tap and go at it, be like, can I call you Greg?
I would channel my anger.
I'm gonna kick your ass. I've been waiting for this. Older brothers, siblings make us who we are. I think a good relationship like that. Breathe, princess, breathe.
I was really fortunate because having my two big brothers, I was a football trainer in high school. You remember that?
I remember you talking about it, but I mean, I didn't really see you outside of work when you were in high school.
Yeah, well,
Wouldn't
being
have been
football-
appropriate.
But like I had to miss work all the time because of football games and stuff. And if my brother's trucks were outside, the football players would not come over to my house. They were terrified of my big brothers. And
I can imagine that.
I never got picked on a day in my life because my big brothers they were protective and scary looking. And then I had my two sisters who sat next to me on every first day of school and doctor's appointments. So I was crazy blessed.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I'm really thankful for my siblings.
you turned out really great. You turned out amazingly. Absolutely. Um, where were we going with the net before we veered off with the net thing? You were going somewhere. You said that he would lock you up in a net, and then you're like, "Oh, but then later,"
I
and I
was saying
stopped you.
we had a lot of fun and a lot of good memories too. Like on
Oh,
rainy days, we would play hide and go seek in the dark. We would hang up blankets over all the windows, and he would hide by lifting up the couch and laying under it, and just having it
sitting on top of him.
floating a couple feet off the ground. Because in pitch dark, you don't notice it's 2 feet
Yeah,
higher.
yeah.
Then until we sat on the couch, it was
Ugh.
we made homemade candy and movie nights and stuff.
And that's kind of like when they were watching you when your parents
Yeah,
were at work and
yeah,
things like that.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I ever tied my younger sibling up in uh, a net like that, which I'm glad because he is now the biggest of all of us. The youngest sibling is the biggest, and then it's my older brother, and then it's me. I'm the smallest, so that's why I need to learn jujitsu more. What belt are you, by the way?
I've
Oh,
been jiu-jitsu uh, close to a year and a half now.
that's good.
So to go from white to blue is 1 to 2 years,
Hmm.
and then the purple is 2 to 3 years, and purple to brown is 2 to 3 years.
So on and so
So
on.
on average, it's 10 plus years to go back.
I once heard about a guy who dedicated so much time to it, he made black belt in 5 years.
That's crazy.
That's a dedication, though.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, like he was there
that's
5 days
crazy.
a
Yeah,
week,
yeah.
twice a day. Like,
I
I
mean, I
mean,
saw
he put in the
somebody.
work
Yeah,
for sure.
I saw a guy get his blue belt in less than 6 months because he was training all the time and has like an amazing talent.
Hmm.
Shout out to David.
David, you want David? You want to come on the podcast talk about how hard it was to become a blue belt in 6 months? I'm always looking for people to talk to.
Yeah, for sure.
I like talking to people who are just average, everyday people.
Yeah.
Nobody talks to them on podcasts, and I don't understand why.
Well, and everybody's walking their own path and
Yeah,
doing things that people.
absolutely. Like, I mean, I love listening to podcasts, hearing from people like Aaron Rodgers and what it takes to be that great and everything, but that's not 90% of the people out there. 90% of the people are like you and me.
Mhm.
Like after this, 3 hours after we're done here, I've got to go to work for 8 hours. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like Aaron, I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers doesn't do work,
Yeah.
but he's got a little bit easier than we do.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And like, what was that guy's name off of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Who went from like a really big overweight guy
oh,
to
to the buff guy.
yeah,
I know who you're talking. I don't know his name,
yeah.
but I know who you're talking about.
On his Instagram, my friend was showing me this week at work. How he said, I don't know why people think it's so hard. All you have to do is train 6 days a week and have a personal trainer and a personal chef, and anything you like to eat, you just don't eat. And and then you have a TV show, fund all of it. And he just showed like how to go from what he was to what he is in such a short amount of time
In celebrity status.
is really not practical thing for normal people to be able to do. And especially like whenever you're a parent and you have limited time and resources and it,
I don't even have a gym membership. I just bought a few things and
well,
do
yeah,
it in my garage. Like
there's so many things you can do.
I literally carry a log, just a piece of wood that I found on the side of the road, a mile,
That's awesome.
like as one of my workouts. And in that mile, I do 40 lunges and I do 60 squats. I switch it from shoulder to shoulder, which I heard a guy a long time ago. I said, if you want to be strong, carry heavy shit.
Mhm.
And that is like literally get some kettlebells and just walk down the street carrying them. You will become strong.
Do you know one of the predictors of mortality is grip strength?
No, what do you mean by that?
So holding on to those heavy things and walking is definitely improving your grip strength.
Mhm.
Um,
I
so
do a
there's
whole manner of things. That's just an example.
sure, sure.
Yeah.
So there's a device that we have in cardiac rehab, and I'm blanking on the name of it, that measures your grip strength. You squeeze in, it gives you pounds of
Mhm.
pressure. And people who have weakened grip strength, I don't want to misquote the statistic, but it's the weaker your grip strength is, the worse prognosis you have of how many years you have left to live. And
Which makes sense.
yeah,
I
and so
mean,
keeping your grip strength strong, and then being able to do push-ups is also another good indicator of how long you live too.
I do 100 push-ups a day.
That's amazing.
I do my warm up is 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups. If I'm doing it outside, it's 50 burpees, 50 push-ups, and 100 sit-ups. And I just do 10 and 10. Like I do 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, 10 push-ups, 10. I don't do it. I don't do it all at once because you burn. I mean, after 25, you start to burn out. Uh, but I do that as a warm up before I do anything, and that I mean, it's important to warm up, and I stretch in that as well. Go ahead. You want me to turn the fan on? You okay? You can adjust it however you need. Microphone's movable. But your grip strength, like that absolutely makes sense. Because I mean that's a determination of strength right there. And the weaker you are physically, the weaker you are emotionally,
Mhm.
the weaker you are mentally. Uh
Well, and like exercise, uh, I've seen MRI imaging of a 40-year-old man who doesn't exercise and a 70-year-old man who does exercise, and the 70-year-old man has uh, more wrinkles and better brain tissue and like bigger brain than the 40-year-old because his has gotten smooth. There's less wrinkles and it's shrunk.
yeah.
And now they're saying like dementia is considered type 3 diabetes. Have you heard that?
Uh-uh.
So it's my understanding. I'm going to do my best to regurgitate.
Before you get into type 3 diabetes, just real quick, so I understand it
Sure.
properly. Type 1 is where you have to go on medicine.
So type 1 is usually a congenital type of diabetes where your pancreas just does not make your own natural insulin.
Okay.
So primarily people who are type 1 diabetic are usually diagnosed as a child,
Okay.
sometimes not, but type 1 diabetics always have to be on insulin. Your
Because their
needs to
pancreas doesn't do its job. Okay.
Type 2 diabetics are can be for a number of reasons, whether it's from being overweight or like autoimmune diseases. I mean,
But
there's a lot of
type
different
2 is
things, but
people who become
who
diabetic.
become diabetic usually because of lifestyle,
Yes.
not necessarily always, but
Majority of the time it
it's
is.
pancreas just doesn't create enough natural insulin.
Okay.
And then, so now they're saying that dementia is actually like lovingly referred to now as type 3 diabetes because insulin that we secrete by our pancreas not only lowers our blood sugar, it opens up the cell to allow the cells to eat up the sugar and use it as energy instead of
Okay.
the sugar just floating in your bloodstream, making your blood thick, literally like molasses,
Mm-hmm.
and it rips up your nerves, arteries, and veins. It also, we have waste and toxins that acquire in our brain throughout the day. And in one of insulin's jobs, to my understanding, is it also helps clear that up. And if your insulin is constantly being used to lower your blood sugar, it's not cleaning up the waste that's in our brain.
Interesting.
And waste acquires and acquires and acquires and then inhibits our cognition.
And can help progress dementia. It's not the cause, but it can assist. Yeah, because I think
A diet high in sugar and refined carbohydrates can lead to
it's amazing.
cognition.
It's amazing how much sugar is in the American diet.
Yes, and so
Yes.
like definitely depending on your activity level, how much you sweat. That definitely plays a role in how much sodium your body needs. Because just like any of your electrolytes, if they are depleted or too high, it causes a lot of issues.
Hmm.
But yeah, like one thing of ramen noodles is enough sodium that you should have an entire day.
Oh my God. Oh, I used to eat ramen noodles every single day. I used to eat them dry too. You ever done that?
Yes.
Where you crush them up and put the powder in there and mix it up?
Yeah. It wasn't something that like I tried it once.
Well, when I worked at Sonic, I didn't get paid a lot. So ramen noodles and Sonic was my diet for the most part. But you know, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like sugar, just the amount of sugar. Like I don't eat cereal at all anymore.
Mhm.
When me and my brothers were growing up, one of the it's all right. He's wagging his tail.
Oh, okay. I was
He's
like,
wagging his tail. He just wants you to
"It's
pet
all
him.
right."
He just wants you to pet him.
Doesn't it?
Here, you pet him for a second. I told you I got a small bladder. 1 second. Sam, you be nice. I don't even know if there's a way to pause that.
Do, 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 do.
The Jeopardy theme song. Thanks, Sam. Good boy.
He like guarded the door.
Yeah, they're protectors.
Yeah.
That's his job. He didn't know what you were gonna do. So
No.
can't believe you did the Jeopardy theme song.
Well, I was like, what?
Well,
what should I do?
it continued playing in my head while I was peeing after you did that. So I was in there like doo, doo, doo. But where I was, yeah, he just wants you to pet him. Samuel's.
Why don't I want to give you my hand when you're around me? Very counter.
He's very boisterous. See, he does that. He wants you to pet him. He wants you to love him. See, he just wants his lovin's. Say Samuel's. Who's a mean, big old mean pit bull?
Every favorite dog that I've ever had in my family was always pit-mixed.
Yeah, they're
Many dogs.
I saw something most recently that said that their breed is actually the most what was the word that they used? Not lenient, but like when a kid's poking you in the face.
Yeah, patient.
Patient and yeah, they said that pip tolerant is what it was. Tolerant was the word they used. But pit bulls are the most tolerant of breeds. Like they're good animals.
They are good.
They're good animals.
They
They
trained.
well,
Any dog or person can be trained.
absolutely. Like heard somebody one time, it's like, you know, if you meet a person who's a bad person, that person was once a baby
Mhm.
who was then taught to be this way. Like you have to take that into consideration. No matter how you feel about people, at one point in time, they were an innocent little child.
Well, and like people aren't mean because they're happy. They're mean because they're sad. Like people ask for love when they need it most in the most unloving ways.
I like that.
And I try to remember that whenever people are like short with me or rude to me for no reason. Instead of being offended, I'm like, oh, I'm so sad that you hurt so badly. You're spewing it out on me for no reason.
That's the way I've come to see things like that. Absolutely, especially in the past few years, is over this little journey of quitting all the nonsense that I used to do. I really became a fan of psychology. Like, for example, Dr. Jordan Peterson. Uh, I went to his lecture the other night that was here. It was awesome. It, I wouldn't say it was amazing. It didn't last as long as I had hoped it to. Like I was sitting by myself and I had a notebook and I took notes.
Mhm.
Like it's a lecture.
Yeah.
I don't know what you people are doing just sitting there listening, like, this is a college lecture. You need to be taking notes. Yeah, and, actually, the books behind you? The one with the bind you can see? The wire bind? Pull that out.